On the scale, please. 170.5. 170.5. Good job.
Yes, sir.
Walter Kahasa.
Yes, sir.
Okay. On the scale.
I really appreciate you joining me today, and this story is a follow-up to a story that I covered a year ago. I always like to follow stories from the beginning until their conclusion, and I always try to stay in touch with the family to make sure that they have their say if they want to. For the past year, I've followed and kept in touch with one of Jay's brothers, and I made sure that I got his permission to do this video. I'm sure if I'd have put schizophrenic stabs man in cannabis rage, this video would do a lot of views, but this is not what the channel's about, and stories are often depicted in this way to demonize mental health, when in fact this story should be highlighting it and also making sure that anybody that needs help goes out to get it. Jay was an MMA fighter and he was a talented athlete. He had turned professional late in life at 27, but had a lot of success in the short time that he was fighting. He had fought for Bellator and also contenders at MMA and won 3 fights, and one of them in 10 seconds against Jamie Saunders. And he showed that hard work and determination could turn your life around. In an autobiography style documentary he did, he spoke honestly about his childhood and being in and out of prison for a series of robberies when he was 17. It was when he finally come out at 23 that he realised what he wanted to do and how talented he was in MMA. He started to take it seriously, and he was on the verge of achieving a hell of a lot more than he already had in MMA as well. And was a brilliant example of how some people are not academically successful, but they're proactive and they need to be in a physical work environment, and sometimes school isn't designed for everybody. Jay was a very protective brother, and he looked out for his younger brother Dwight Jr. Freeman, who's 19 years old. Jahreau was preparing for his 30th birthday and went to the shops to get some alcohol for a barbecue in the park. His mother said in court that Jahreau was very tough on his younger brother and was trying to protect him from getting involved in stuff that I assume he may have got involved in when he was younger. His brother Dwight smoked cannabis regularly, and his mother said that he had a lot of mood swings, and she put this down to his cannabis use in the months leading up to the fatal attack. She even said in court that on occasion she would wake up and her son would be stood at the bottom of her bed, staring at her, saying nothing. These telltale signs that something was seriously wrong were not seen, and he didn't get the help that he needed before it was too late. Freeman had also spoken about in the days before the stabbing about feeling that he was under surveillance and would often pace back and forth frantically for no reason. His mother tried to get him to seek medical attention at this point, but he refused to turn up to any of the appointments that were booked for him. Jahreau had organised a barbecue with music and drinks to take place at Venn Park in the Vauxhall area. Everyone invited was told to wear white, and Freeman was at home when the party started, but his mother seen that he was anxious to go, so she told him to attend. However, eyewitnesses at the party said at various stages violence was unfolding shortly after he arrived at the park. The pair were seen arguing away from the crowd, and Freeman then launched a terrifying, sustained an unprovoked attack with 2 large knives and a sword. Jahreau was seen telling Freeman off and using gestures, but the witnesses said they were not aggressive. Freeman pulled a long machete out of his trousers and attacked his brother several times, stabbing him in the chest. Having spotted the incident occurring, a second man attempted to intervene, and he was also stabbed. The second victim suffered a punctured lung, but survived following hospital treatment. One witness described that Freeman was stood over Jahreau, and his legs were either side of his body, and he stabbed him multiple times in the stomach and then fled. Another witness says Jahreau was saying, I'm sorry," as Freeman inflicted the fatal blows. Multiple police arrived at the scene, and Freeman was seen carrying 2 objects that were described as a samurai sword, a 2.5-foot zombie knife. Members of the public, and they were screaming for him to stop. The MMA fighter suffered 13 stab wounds. One of them was a 19.5 centimetre incision to his chest that passed through his heart. He was pronounced dead at the scene shortly after the arrival of the air ambulance. When police attended at 10 p.m, they found Jahraeu in a blood-soaked suit on the floor. Paramedics and air ambulance crew attended and interventions were put in place to try to save his life, but he was pronounced dead at the scene at 20 to 11. A forensic post-mortem revealed his cause of death as stab wounds and another wound that had punctured his lung. Following the incident, Freeman dropped the machete and ran back to his mother's address. The knife was later recovered by officers and found covered in blood. Freeman left London and was tracked to Newquay, having used his father's car to purchase food from an Aldi store 5 days later. He was arrested and had changed his appearance and shaving and dyeing his hair. Freeman from Vauxhall was arrested and sent to be consulted by psychiatrists. He was found to be mentally unwell and was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. This was undiagnosed at the time of the attack, and in the assessment, the reason they said he carried out the attack was because of the mental illness. As I said at the beginning of the story, when you start saying schizophrenia, your automatic assumption is this is somebody that will kill you, will attack you, and with the right medication, this is not the case. Thousands of people live with schizophrenia in society and have jobs and families and are no risk to anybody. But of course, diagnosing and getting the right medication for any mental illness is the biggest priority. So following the diagnosis of his brother, the judges determined that he should be sent to a mental hospital for an undetermined amount of time. And he was convicted of manslaughter and wounding in relation to the stabbing of the other man. So Jahraeu didn't deserve what had happened, and his brother didn't deserve the mental illness trying to deal with every single day of his life. At the same time, nobody wins in this story, and is there any sort of resolution that anybody could be happy with? Two brothers, one has lost their life and one has lost their freedom, and other brothers that are still alive have to live knowing the fact that they will never see Jahraeu again. So as I said and reiterate, please, if you are suffering with anything whatsoever, do not be ashamed to go and speak to anybody and get the help that you need to be able to be there for your family and to avoid anything like this from occurring. Both of these men had a brilliant life ahead of them and everything to live for. So really appreciate you joining me today. Rest in peace to Jahraeu Shepherd, and my condolences to his family and his brother Rico Biggs. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Pay your respects in the comments, and I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.